Hi, in part 1 of 2 of this little series, I try to show how Israel's emergence as a modern nation state must be understood within the context of the national movements in the 19th and 20th century. Now let's delve deeper into the translation movement, especially concerning the modern translations of Homer. A first, although partial, translation of the Iliad into Ottoman Turkish was conducted in 1887 by Sami Frasheri, one of the leading Albanian intellectuals of his time. A modern Turkish version was written by the famous poet Ömer Seyfettin, the icon of the Turkish language movement. There were also several translations into modern Greek, the first of whom came from Iakovos Polilas in 1900 and another one by Alexandros Pallis. Interestingly, it was also a Greek, Panayotis Papakostopoulos, who conducted a translation of the Odyssey into modern Serbian, which posthumously appeared in Belgrade in 1881. The Lebanese politician and author and journalist Suleiman al-Bustani, one of the most fascinating reformers of his time, nowadays we would call him an influencer, translated the Iliad into Arabic in 1904, but contrary to the general trend, into the established Arabic standard language. Finally, the Iliad piqued the interest of the Hebrew language movement, namely of Saul Chernychovsky, the Ukrainian-born poet whose face is emblazoned on the 50 shekel note, devoted himself at the turn of the century to promoting Hebrew literature through poetic works from ancient Greece. His translation of the Iliad, as well as the Odyssey, which he tackled in 1917, are considered milestones in the modern Hebrew literature, so that the Hungarian Academy of Sciences called him the King of the Hebrew Poets. National movements within the Ottoman Empire were on the one hand future-oriented in terms of society, language, law, politics, and so on, and on the other hand they were oriented towards the past, and that is towards antiquity, because they sought for legitimacy of their national project. Therefore, among Lebanese nationalists we find a phenomenon called Phoenicism, that is the projection of Lebanese history back to the Phoenicians. In Egypt we find a Pharaonism that was dedicated to the pre-Islamic history of the country. Albanian nationalists embraced the so-called Illyrism, that is the idea of an origin that goes back to the Illyrians of antiquity. The Turkish nationalists tried to link the history to an ancient Ionic heritage, especially to that of the Hittites. Turkish nationalists rediscovered Genghis Khan and Dede Korkut, the Turkish Homer. As for the Greeks, the Spartan army leader Leonidas became the hero of their national revival. Alexander the Great achieved a similar status, but was not only used by the Greeks. When the German historian Philipp Jakob Fallmeyer claimed in the 1830s that the Greeks of his time had no connection to the ancient Greeks, but were rather descendants of Slavs and Albanians, he upset the Greek government so much that it convened a historical commission whose aim was to refute Fallmeyer's claim and to find evidence that the Greeks of their time were descendants of the ancient Greeks. And what about the Jewish national movement, the Zionism? Zionists conjured up Simon bar Kokhba, who in 132 led a revolt against the Roman occupation of Judea. The idea of national rebirth was the big topic of all national movements on the ground of the crumbling Ottoman Empire and other countries. Coins from the time of Bar Kokhba show Hebrew inscriptions such as the freedom of Israel or the freedom of Jerusalem, and show an ancient longing for Jewish sovereignty in the Holy Land. In 1929, riots at the Western Wall, also known as the Wailing Wall, quickly got out of hand and led to the destruction of the Jewish community in Hebron and consequently to a turn in Jewish-Arab relations. Then in 1936, Palestine saw another outbreak of Arab violence and a general strike, so that in 1937 a commission was set up, the famous Peel Commission, that was meant to investigate into the causes of violence in that region. The commission proposed a division of the land which was accepted by the Jews but not by the Arabs. The Syrian nationalists saw Palestine as being a part of Syria, and they didn't care much of the Zionist movement before World War II. Instead, their main concern was Alexandretta, the port city in the south of what is now Turkey, where the city and the province are called Iskenderun. When the Syrians realized that Alexander was a lost cause and, after having been under French control, became part of Turkey in 1939, they turned the Palestine question into a problem of the Arab nation and the Zionist danger into a danger that threatens the Arab nation in its existence. All quotes. Attacking Zionism distracted from their own defeat in the Alexandretta case and made Syria a credible proponent of Arab interests. Even though there has been a certain rapprochement between Israel and some Arab states in the face of the Iranian threat, there's still little interest in Arab countries to solve the Middle East conflict, where people speak of a Palestinian wound, al-Jurh al-Filistini, in the Arab body. The decisive steps towards solving the conflict will be made when the Arab world has accepted that the modern state of Israel is not a foreign element in the region, but belongs where it has exactly been for now 72 years. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, click the bell, and I hope to see you soon.